Hey guys, it is Julie here with JT.Wealth. Today's video, we are chatting about a stock that is up over 560% in the last 3 months. And that is everyone's favorite, Workhorse. So let's get into it. All right, welcome back everyone. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope everyone had an amazing long weekend. So like I said, today we are talking about Workhorse. We are going to cover some recent news surrounding them and their price increase, as well as compare some bearish and bullish outlooks. And before we get into all of that good stuff, this is just your friendly reminder to please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel and give us a big thumbs up if you like the video today. All right, so Workhorse has been in the news recently for a few different reasons. The first being their new strategic agreement with Hitachi, second being the inclusion in some EV conferences, and third is just surrounding the excitement around GM and their new partnership with Nikola. Now, that first piece of news surrounding the strategic agreement with Hitachi, I did cover in a video last week when the news first came out, so I'm not going to go too deep into that. If you want some more detail, you can go back, watch that video as well. But basically, the hype surrounding this is that Hitachi is really going to help with some operational assessment, as well as help them expand their sales channels as far as dealerships as well. So that new strategic agreement was announced on August 31st, and after that we saw a nice little 11% increase to the Workhorse stock. Secondly, in recent news is maybe a piece that isn't necessarily hyped up or affecting Workhorse's stock price as much, but does really speak to their inclusion and presence in the EV community. And that is that they will be participating and presenting at the 9th Annual Gateway Conference in the EV and Mobility Panel tomorrow, September 9th. Also be participating in the 5th Annual Collier's Institutional Investor Conference, as well as the Cowen 13th Annual Global Transportation and Sustainable Mobility Conference on September 11th. And the last piece of news is the announcement of the USPS contract. Just kidding, I wish. We still don't have a firm date on that, but the last piece of news is surrounding the excitement regarding GM and their new partnership with Nikola. So GM will be taking an 11% stake in Nikola, and this just really helps stoke the fire of excitement surrounding that EV industry. Now, this is not the first time that GM has showed its support of the EV industry, as you may remember that it did sell one of its manufacturing plants in Lordstown, Ohio to Lordstown Motors, who we also know is partly owned by Workhorse and run by the former Workhorse CEO. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, Workhorse stock has soared these last few months. So looking at their chart, you can see that tremendous growth on there with over 558% growth in the last 3 months. Looking at the last 1 month, we even have 31.58%, and today alone, 8.47% in growth. And today's growth, like I said, I think can be attributed to the excitement surrounding the EV industry from Nikola and GM. So now let's get into the Workhorse Bears versus the Workhorse Bulls. Starting off with one of the many bulls on Workhorse is an analyst from Oppenheimer. Analyst Colin Rusch called the company a leader in last mile delivery solutions and established a new $23 price target for shares, up about 25% from recent levels. The company's electric last-mile delivery truck platform offers the benefit of vehicle design iterations as well as a substantial competitive advantage of supporting a flexible manufacturing model, Rusch said. He added that Workhorse's vehicles serve a market estimated at around $18 billion and has customers who are unwilling to compromise on service. Now, the analyst believes that the company is in a strong position to win the U.S. Postal Service contract for upgrading its delivery fleet of 165,000 vehicles valued over $6 billion. We can also look at this excerpt from an article on The Motley Fool. So the author reminisces about how he has been following Workhorse since way back in 2015. And that is back when the company was first mentioned as a contender for the USPS contract. So this contract has been going on for a long time. Now back then, Workhorse was just one of 15 car companies contending for the contract. Fast forward 5 years though, and they are now just one of 3 companies shortlisted by the Postal Service to win the contract. Now, he thinks that there is definitely a good chance of the industry heavyweights Ford and Oshkosh getting a good chunk of this contract, but that Workhorse has beaten the odds already in getting this far. Now, he thinks if Workhorse can win this contract and then parlay a vote of confidence from the USPS into even more contract wins with other buyers, he thinks it'll be an odds-on bet to outperform Tesla stock going forward. So that's a pretty big statement. Now, on the other side of this coin, we do have our fair share of Workhorse bears as well. There's lots of news articles out there with titles like, "With a lot of sizzle and little steak, avoid Workhorse stock." So this article says that the post office catalyst is a long shot that may not pay off for Workhorse stock. Much of the excitement for the stock has been due to the company's post office excitement. Now, Workhorse is a bit of a dark horse contender here, competing against Oshkosh and Ford and Carson Morgan Olson. And yes, the USPS contract could be split among multiple bidders, but it's debatable whether the company would even profit if it wins. The battery alone may cost as much as the sticker price for the entire finished product. Granted, there are merits for this deal being a loss leader for Workhorse. The social proof from winning the contract could help boost its commercial market sales. However, that's a big gamble and can be more than it can chew. The other bearish concern is that Workhorse stock is severely overvalued. In its second quarter results released on August 10th, Workhorse generated sales of just $92,000 and reported a loss of over $131 million. So their price to sales ratio is about 7,000 when a year ago it was 280. So there is definitely a lot to consider surrounding the Workhorse stock, and I just always like to share both sides of it so that we don't get blinders on surrounding all of this excitement and forget to look at some of the potential negatives. Now, the USPS contract would obviously be a huge shot up for Workhorse, but I don't think it's all or bust for this company. If they don't get the USPS contract, it's just going to mean a much slower, gradual path to becoming a profitable, solid business. Now, on the note of USPS, they did put out an interesting blog today. And this blog post basically goes over how old the US Postal Service fleet is and how it is in dire need of replacement. So they did start the plan for these next generation delivery vehicles back in 2015, and we're hoping to have them on the road in 2018 through 2019, but due to frequent changes to the timeline, the planned deployment date is now scheduled for January 2022. So this blog really speaks to how they are trying to stop any further delays to the timeline for these new vehicles, and I think could be really setting the stage for an announcement on that contract soon. So those are my updates on Workhorse. I just always love making sure you guys are up to date and getting all sides of information out there. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts on what is going on with Workhorse surrounding the USPS contract and their new strategic agreement. Please remember to make sure that you are subscribed to our channel and give us a big thumbs up if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching and have an awesome day. Cheers!